I'm going to do a walkthrough of a very popular AI phone system that we've built for the trades industry. This can include plumbers, roofers, electricians, all of the home services and trades businesses can use this exact system.
Thanks for reaching out. We can definitely help with that leaking tap. Could I please get your full name to get things started?
Yeah, my name is John Smith.
Thanks, John.
Could I also have your email address, please? I'll spell it back to you to make sure I've got it right.
Yeah, john.smith@gmail.com.
Great, thank you.
We've worked with quite a few companies in the industry at our agency N8N AI, helping to automate their inbound phone calls. Being able to answer the phone 24/7 and pick up the phone instantly is incredibly competitive for these types of businesses. Just imagine that you have a leaking tap, and if you want to get this fixed and don't have someone to call already, you will likely do a Google search to find the local businesses that can help you out, and then just start to call them top to bottom until somebody picks up. Having these calls fully automated with AI means that these leads are caught immediately. So not only are you getting an increased amount of business, but you are saving yourself or a team member from having to take these calls all day. This right here is a scope sheet of everything that the voice agent is going to be capable of. You can get access to this sheet, voice agent prompts, automations, and everything that I'll showcase in this video by joining my free school community, which is linked in the description. So this right here is a scope sheet that I've created specifically for this build. So right here, this is just detailing everything that's going to be included within this voice agent. So we're going to be building out an AI receptionist for a trades business, obviously. We're going to be using Retell AI as our main voice agent platform, and that is going to plug into N8N to build out all of our automations, to send information off, to do everything that we need to. That's all going to be covered under N8N. Once again, voice agent interaction is on Retell. They're going to call the receptionist. The voice agent is going to obviously look at that intent, understand what they're looking to do. That could be booking an appointment. That could be classifying it as an emergency and doing something different. It could just be processing and answering general inquiries, knowledge-based requests, so more standard information like opening hours, service hours, pricing, FAQs, all of that stuff, as well as capturing all of this information, formatting it and sending it to N8N to store the information, to send information, to notify people, to do all of that will be handled by our N8N agents. Core functionalities, expanding on these points, appointment booking. So we're going to be capturing the name, contact number, preferred date and time for the appointment, as well as the exact service that is requested. For this particular example, it's sort of a multi-trade services company. So this is going to be handling not just one particular service, but many different ones. So we've got a service type that they can provide us with. This is going to get sent to our N8N workflow, which is going to go ahead and do these things. Now it checks availability using Google Calendar. We're not specifically doing this. Retell AI actually has a built-in Google Calendar integration or cal.com integration that we're going to be using. So we're not actually going to be building out a flow specifically for this, although we are going to be doing an SMS confirmation via Twilio, as well as a Gmail integration and Google Sheets, which you can see here as well. So after booking, job details are logged into Google Sheets. So we've actually got a Google Sheet, which I can jump into right here. And this is directly connected to our system. Obviously, this is going to be logging 3 different types of inquiries and bookings. So we've got a job, which is, just your standard job that somebody booked. If any caller just has a standard job, that is going to get placed right in here. You can see that we've got a couple of contacts. Myself that's called in about a particular service, and it has stored it within this. It's provided us with their name, email, phone number, service type, preferred booking time, type, location, and sort of a booking URL. That's just one section that we're sending information into. We've also got a dedicated page just for the emergencies. So anybody that doesn't want to book immediately because they have an emergency and they're looking to get somebody to reach out to them as quickly as possible, all of those details are going to get directly placed within this sheet. And then we've got an inquiry sheet as well. So this is for anybody that has a question. This is for anybody that doesn't get really any resolution to their questions. So this isn't necessarily if somebody just has a general question that gets answered. It's for people that maybe they have a particular question, it's unable to answer it, and then they hang up. You can see here, a user was asking to learn about the services and then asked for popular options. The conversation ended suddenly. So they were asking about the business, they were asking about services. The conversation was ended suddenly. That obviously means a potential prospect, somebody that we can work with, although they've hung up or something went wrong, and so the business can get back in contact with them. Now for this particular build, I am using Google Sheets, but obviously if you are running a trades business, you're probably not using Google Sheets, or maybe you are, but you're more likely to be using a dedicated CRM. And that is obviously something that we can integrate with as well, but this is just to represent what's possible with the voice agent itself. But as long as a CRM has an API connection, then we can send the exact type of information over to those CRMs as well. In addition to the job creation, we've got emergency call transfers. So this is for if somebody has, once again, that emergency. So not only are we going to be logging that information, but we can transfer the call. So if somebody has, once again, they've got a leaking roof or something that really needs attention, it can take them to a human that can respond, most appropriately as quickly as possible. You can see here we've got a few different things going on, detecting it using a phrase, routing the call, logging that in Google Sheets still to really make sure that it gets captured. General inquiries. So this is just your basic FAQ information, answering questions, stuff like that. And if somebody wants to speak to somebody or has some sort of a question that it can't answer, it has a Gmail integration, as I talked about. So it can send an email to the office to reply over email. End of call report automation. This is something that we do for all of our real builds in the real world. This is something that I would recommend that everybody builds as well. So an end of call report automation ultimately analyzes a transcript of the conversation to determine what actually happened and if anything else needs to happen. So for example, if somebody calls up and wants to book an appointment and they're unable to book the appointment, something goes wrong, they're unable to find a time that they'd like, their email address goes wrong, something happens, what we can do is analyze the transcript and determine what went wrong, if something went wrong, and take a course of action because of that. And so in this case, we're going to be sending an email with the transcript summary to the team, as well as actually logging this in our Google Sheet as well. So a couple of different steps to really act as a fallback, just in case anything goes wrong. Once again, knowledge base and FAQ responses, that's going to be your business hours, service information, pricing information, all that can get logged in Google Sheets as well if it isn't able to get answered. Otherwise, obviously, it'll just answer it over the phone. And just lastly, previous job bookings as well. So we've got a particular N8N flow that if somebody calls up and has booked before, they've worked with us before, it is able to actually find that just using the phone number they're calling in on, pull through that information, and then just provide them a summary of past jobs or ask them if a repeat service is required. So it personalizes a little bit, makes it a bit smoother of a conversation by doing that. They're all the main functions that we're going to be including within the agent, mainly through N8N. And there's a good little overview here. Once again, you can get access to this particular document in my school community for free, but these are all of the integrations that we're going to be using, and some more information here as to the process flow that we're going to be building out, some error handling that we're going to be including as well, that we would obviously recommend every agent has, and some additional recommendations, which I'm going to run through when I go through the prompts right now. So this right here is Retell AI. This is where our main voice agent is built. If you are new to Retell, you're new to building voice agents, I would definitely recommend checking out some of my more beginner tutorials. I've got a few of them out there, so they are probably going to be more helpful for understanding the basics of building these agents, although this video is to cover a bit more of a deep dive in some of the more advanced areas, the more detailed areas of building a more production ready agent, specifically in the trades industry. And so I'll run through this prompt, but otherwise, if you haven't done any prompting before, I would check out some of my previous videos beforehand. This right here is N8N, and this is the workflows that we're going to be building out specifically to cover all of those points that I just went through on that Google Doc. These are sort of 5 main automations that we need in order to execute all of the different tasks that I outlined, and these are all directly accessible from our Retell agent just via a webhook. And so I'll dive very deep into everything that's here, how it works, why it works, and exactly what everything does, so you can replicate this and build it as well. Once again, you can obviously just download this directly from the school community, as I'll have this template all uploaded for you for free, so you can just download this and clone it immediately. So I'm going to start off with the prompt. So this right here is the prompt that we have built out. Now this isn't a live client, this is not a real client that we work with, this is just sort of a demo template that covers a lot of the main points and areas that we also cover when building out real systems. If you are familiar with some of my videos and you've watched some of my tutorials before, you will be quite familiar with my prompt engineering sort of template for these conversational AI agents. At the top, I typically start off with the role. So the role is sort of defining the persona of the agent. So who are they? Who do they work for? What's their very high level purpose as an agent? I've gone over many times as to why this is incredibly important, as simple as it may seem, to helping really shape the conversation, be as smooth as possible. We've got the context. This helps just add to business information. So this is to help with, once again, reiterating the company they work for, any existing information about the company. This is a very brief information right here. We've obviously only provided the business name. I would obviously recommend adding a bit more than this in terms of very critical business information that would be probably very necessary in order to answer your most general questions. Below this, I have the task, and this is kind of the main area of these voice agents, the main sort of instruction set that really guides how the agent acts and what it says and how it handles its conversation. The task is exactly what it needs to work on. So obviously within our task, we've got our appointment booking, we've got our emergencies, we've got our general inquiries as well as well as all the information within it, which I'll cover in just a minute. Otherwise, we've got our examples as well. Examples is an incredibly important thing that you need to include to really make sure that it follows along with exactly what you're intending it to. In this case, we provided it with multiple examples of a particular conversation. In this case, you can see here, we've got our appointment booking, particular example of a drain unclogging. So perfect. It's very relevant to the actual build that we've done. Then we've got another pathway for this emergency example, which is a burst pipe at home. And it just goes down a slightly different conversational experience. Really just helps reiterate to our agent how to handle different scenarios. And we can also see here that we've got our function calling also within these particular examples, which I'll dive deeper into in a minute. Otherwise, general inquiry, pricing, and hours. It's even an example for pretty much your basic FAQ and knowledge-based information. We provided it as well, which is also super helpful for it to understand when it should or shouldn't check the knowledge base. Then at the bottom, we have our guardrails. This is something that I absolutely recommend for every build. This is sort of something that we have always included within all of our production-ready agents. And this really just helps add some additional guardrails. And guardrails are really just getting it to behave how we want it to, not to behave outside of the conditions that we want it to, not to behave outside of the persona that we've given it. Obviously, we're building out an inbound AI receptionist system. We don't want it to start to go off on a tangent, talking about things that's not relevant or saying anything that we don't want it to say. And that is exactly where guardrails can come in and can be incredibly important to include. So I won't dive too deep into every little part of this particular prompt exactly, although I can look at some of the examples we provided it with. You'll see here, talk like a pirate while explaining this. And we can see here, it is pretty much prompted to not do this. If you didn't add this particular prompt, you could probably quite easily get your agent to speak like a pirate, pretend that it's Mickey Mouse, speak in a funny way. You could very easily get it to do that. Although with some prompt engineering, with these exact guardrails, we found it to perform quite well and to prevent a lot of this, which in some cases, not a big deal. Obviously, if somebody is trying to play around with it, but it is good to keep it in line. Obviously, we don't want it to be going out too far out of range because that can cause issues down the road. Otherwise, at the end, rules to follow. This is sort of just very brief general instructions. This is usually what we'll add to a particular agent once we've started testing it. So once we start to test it and build it and realize that there are particular issues in different instances of our conversation, normally just come down to the rules to follow, really just reiterate on a lot of the main points of our prompt, what it needs to really focus in on and do. So you can see here that these are very specific to this particular prompt. It's not a sort of a general thing you can copy to every particular agent. Very specific to this prompt. We've obviously done some testing on this particular agent, and these are some of the notes that we found needed to be reiterated to make our prompt more aligned with exactly the set of instructions that are all above it. So that's your high-level overview of the entire prompt that we've built out here. I'll just quickly run through these particular tasks as well, as these are obviously very critical to the function and purpose of this particular agent. Our appointment booking flow is just going to capture some key critical information with the full name, email, phone number, service type, and preferred date and time, as well as a location as well, of course, of the job. Jumping back into Retell AI, I can run through this appointment booking flow because I can now then obviously showcase some of the functions that we've built out into this in particular. So the second step in our appointment booking flow is to call the get jobs function to make sure the job is not duplicated or has not been created yet. So if we can have a look at our functions, we have a get jobs function. This is exactly what it's going to be calling. So we can have a look at this right here. We're doing a post request to our N8N flow, which I'm going to dive into right now. And all we're going to be using as a parameter is the phone number. That's all that we need in order to identify a particular job that they're going to be calling in about. And so if I jump back over to N8N and I scroll all the way to the top of our particular automation here, we can see get jobs by phone number. So what's happening is that we've got a webhook post URL right here in which we are doing our get jobs function call to. That is then getting sent into sort of a search on Google Sheets. We can see here we're doing a get rows. We're essentially just getting some rows from Google Sheets and we're sort of just searching it via the phone number. So we jump back into Google Sheets. I jump into the particular job sheet. We have this list of records right here and we have a bunch of phone numbers. This is very simply just doing a search of the phone numbers that are here. And if there is a phone number that matches, it means that there is a job that has been booked before from this person. And if so, we're going to confirm with them that it isn't a duplicate, that it's not something that's already been booked in for them. And we can provide all of the details necessary here. Otherwise, we can obviously continue the conversation as it says here. If a job is found, confirm whether it's duplicated or not, or if it should be a new one. Mention only the service type, location, and preferred time in a natural sentence. Once the particular flow is done there, either it is or isn't, we're going to check the availability using the check availability cal function. So this is something that is a default function of Retell AI. If you're familiar with it, we have a sort of a native integration with cal.com. We don't have to build this setup ourselves at all, which is great. And this is just connected directly into our cal.com account. And so this is perfect. It's quite easy to set up and use. You just click on check calendar availability. It's going to prompt you to set up up your cal.com account, create some events, add in your API key, and then that's pretty much all you need to do. It'll be able to connect directly into a Google Calendar, an Outlook calendar, really anything that you plug into it. And then obviously alongside checking availability, you can book the appointment as well. So super simple to set up and use. I've done plenty of videos in setting up appointment booking systems, but this is just one of the many ways that you can do it. Once that it's done this, it is going to confirm the availability, book the appointment using that particular function. And once this is completed, it's going to create a job record using the create job details function with the booking ID from the cal.com function. So we've got a bit of a connection between the two, but otherwise for the main part of this, we're just going to be sending off another request to our N8N flow with a few more parameters. So once again, this is going off to our N8N flow, and we're going to be running through the create a new job agent. So if we have a look at Retell, we've got a few different parameters that we're sending through. One of them is the preferred time. So this is exactly when they want to book for. The service type, so the particular service that they're booking in for. The name of the customer, so just their name, their phone number, location, the appointment booked. So this is the booking link combined. This is the appointment booked. This is just the booking link that comes from cal.com. So that cal.com function by Retell would just provide us with a booking link. And this is just for storage purposes. As you saw on here, we've got a booking link if you want to have a look at it through cal.com very easily. And then just location type, in-store or on-site. And then the user's email as well is going to be captured and sent through. So basic set of information for booking the appointment will get sent through. That is going to hit our N8N agent, which is going to create that row in Google Sheets. This is then going to hit our AI agent module, which is ultimately sort of prompted to sort of create an SMS message for the user. So this is running, it's connected to a Gemini chat model for its generation. This is pretty much just a very simple prompt right here. Define the SMS message to wrap up the appointment. Make sure to return the content of the message only. Don't return the leading sentence. So ultimately, this takes just a bunch of information about the appointment that was just booked, and it just creates a nicely formatted text message to send to the user via Twilio. So this is connected to my Twilio account. If I were to book an appointment over the phone, it would send me a message and just say, hey, you just booked an appointment. This is the time it was booked for, and you can just provide whatever other information that you want to include as well. So before I go any further, I'm going to test out this one particular flow to make sure that it is actually working. I'm going to click on the test audio button, and we're going to have a listen in to see what actually happens, what the flow sounds like, how it sort of converses conversationally, and then if we can trigger the create a new job flow to send myself an SMS as well as update the row in Google Sheets.
Hi, this is Emily from Inflate Home Services. How can we help you today?
Hey, I was looking to book a job. We've got a pretty bad leaking tap.
Thanks for reaching out. We can definitely help with that leaking tap. Could I please get your full name to get things started?
Yeah, my name is John Smith.
Thanks, John. Could I also have your email address, please? I'll spell it back to you to make sure I've got it right.
Yeah, john.smith@gmail.com.
Great, thank you. So that's john.smith@gmail.com, is that correct? Next, could I please have the best phone number to reach you on?
Yeah, that's it. And my best phone number would be 123456789.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks for confirming that, John. Now, could you let me know the address where you'd like the leaking tap repaired?
Yeah, 123 Main Street here in Sydney.
Thanks, John. I've got your address as 123 Main Street, Sydney. For the service, I'll note this as a leaking tap repair. When would you like us to come by for the repair? If you have a preferred date or time, just let me know.
Yeah, let's do tomorrow at about 4 p.m.
Let me check our availability for tomorrow at 4 p.m. for your leaking tap repair. We do have an available slot tomorrow between 4 and 5 p.m. Would you like me to lock in the appointment for 4 p.m.?
That'd be perfect. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and book you in for tomorrow at 4 p.m. for your leaking tap repair. You're all set, John. We've booked you in for tomorrow at 4 p.m. for a leaking tap repair at your home in Sydney. Our technician will come straight to your address. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So there we have it. That was a great conversation. Pretty smooth, pretty simple conversation overall. We were able to create our job, and we can see here in the execution on N8N, it went ahead and created our new job right here. Now you'll see that because I gave it a fake phone number, 123456789, the Twilio didn't like that, and it obviously failed in this case. But obviously, if we gave it a real phone number, it would have properly went ahead and sent the SMS. And because I was using the web chat feature here on Retell, it meant that it didn't actually get my phone number, which is why it asked me for my phone number in the first place. Typically, you wouldn't need it to do that. You can just have it pull it from your phone number directly, and this would avoid really any issue with this. but otherwise that would have sent perfectly fine. And if we jump into our Google Sheets, we can see everything populating perfectly right here as well. So we've got John Smith, john.smith@gmail.com. Phone number has populated, service type, preferred time, location, the actual location of the address as well. And we can see that the appointment booking directly has been inserted into the Google Sheet as well. So it's perfect, did everything that we expected it to. And the job was obviously created, or would have been created with the SMS if we had provided the proper phone number. If we jump into some of these other requests here as well, if I jump into the last request that ran, what we'll see at the bottom here is our post call analysis agent. And so what this has done is essentially runs at the end of every conversation. So anytime you call it, anytime you talk to it, it will always do this post call analysis. As I talked about at the start through, in our scope sheet, this agent will essentially look at the transcript and determine if something else needs to be done. It looks like it determined that the get jobs by email was necessary in this case to actually run. So if I have a look at this agent, analyze the conversation to identify if there was any failed tools, and it determined that it needed to go ahead and run the get jobs section. Now, it didn't do anything in particular. It didn't create an inquiry. It didn't create an emergency or anything. It didn't do anything. But the main reason that it got the job via email is that it wanted to check that our job was properly created. So in the conversation, it said a job was created, a job was meant to be created, and our agent, post-call analysis, sort of backup, fallback agent, listened to the conversation, had a look at it and was like, okay, there's a job that needed to be booked. Well, let's double check. Did a job get booked? And it obviously checked that and it was perfect. It did exactly what it needed it to by checking that the job was created as our fallback method. The next N8N agent that we have is for specifically logging any sort of inquiries that aren't handled as they should be, and that the office needs to do something in order to properly handle that inquiry. This could be somebody that calls up about pricing and then just hangs up when they hear the price, or somebody that calls up is interested in working with them or then hangs up the phone. These types of situations where it's a potential lost prospect, we want to notify the office to call them back so that we can provide the best support possible.
Hi, this is Emily from N8N Home Services. How can we help you today?
Hey, I was having a look at your website and saw that your prices were quite fair. I'm definitely interested in getting some of the lights replaced throughout our house. Is that something that you guys can help with?
Absolutely, we can help with light replacements throughout your house. Our licensed electricians handle everything from single fixture swaps to full home lighting updates. Would you like to book an appointment for this, or do you have a few questions about the process or pricing first? Let me know how you'd like.
Good. I'm definitely interested in moving forward. What would be the next steps?
Great. I'm glad to hear you'd like to move forward. The next steps are simple. I'll just need to get a few details from you so we can book your light replacement service. Could I please start with your full name?
So there we have it. I've just called in about a particular light fixing that I wanted throughout the house. I said that I was interested. I wanted to move forward with them. Although then I just hung up the phone immediately. And obviously as a business, you want to get in contact with them as quickly as possible. Obviously that guy was interested. That's obviously an opportunity that you want to capitalize on. In the case here, what's happened is that call has just ended immediately. And so our post-call analysis automation has picked up on that perfectly. And we can see here it's ran through, it's hit our agent. Our agent has determined that this is something that obviously needs to be recorded because nothing has happened. And it's something that the business needs to follow up with. And we can have a look at the output as well. And we can see that the append row in sheet for the inquiry was triggered, and we can see that the inquiry has populated here as well. So a user was interested in getting some of the lights replaced. The conversation ended suddenly. So obviously that's something that needs to be followed up with. Now, because I didn't call in on a real phone number, we didn't get the phone number populating right here. Now, obviously, if I didn't call it over the website on Retell and I actually called it using my phone, that would obviously populate the phone number automatically so that the actual business can call them up and then obviously try to close that deal from there. But that's obviously a good demonstration as to the purpose of doing that and how exactly this flow works. But just lastly, I want to run through logging and emergencies. So it's a little bit of a different flow that we have for logging and emergency to everything else. And we can see the flow right here. So what will happen is that the emergency will get detected as a completely separate automation. So rather than trying to book them an appointment and spend all that time trying to do that, what we want to do is immediately forward this request to a human to jump on as quickly as possible. We want them to handle it. We're not going to try to get them to speak over the phone with us because we want it to be as seamless as possible and get this obviously real world issue fixed, not with an AI. So right here, we've got our dedicated webhook, which gets sent from Retell in the case of an emergency, which we can see here. This is going to send through a little bit of information with their name, phone number, location, and emergency details. So just a brief description of what's going on. That's going to get sent to our sheet, which we can see here, dedicated on the dedicated sheet for emergencies, which is going to get populated here. We can see this particular example is populated. Right after this, we've got this AI agent, which is pretty much going to have a look at that request and define an SMS message to get sent to the person as sort of a follow-up, as sort of a reminder that this issue is being handled by our team, and that to stay put ultimately. So define the SMS message for an emergency report. Make sure to return the content of the message only. Don't return the leading sentence. Provide some information about the emergency and just provides them a summary text message. After this, we've got another agent right here. This is essentially formatting an email, and this email is getting sent to the office of the business. So if you are running a business and you've got the office that is handling these emails, they're going to get this email right away. Obviously, this can be sent to anybody, but this agent is just going to write up an email. And we can see here, define the HTML email content. We've got a little bit of context in here as well, coming directly from the previous steps with the full name, the phone number, the location, and the emergency sort of summary, as well as just some prompting in order to create an HTML format, which is just useful for, sending a nicely formatted email that then gets sent off to the team to be reminded of exactly what they need to follow up with. Now, this isn't the only thing that we have as I jump back to our prompt as well for emergency cases. We're not just going to be sending them an email, but we're going to be trying to get that transfer done immediately. That's the main thing that we want to get across. And we can use the dedicated transfer call function here on Retell in order to do that. If you are a business owner and you run one of these home services companies or trades businesses, and you're looking at these AI receptionist systems and you want to fully automate your inbound calls, you want to answer them 24/7, you want the phone to pick up instantly, you want all of these inquiries to be handled the best they possibly can, feel free to reach out with me and the team using the link in the description.